On this week's episode, we talk about The Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah, Matrix 4 and other pop culture news.
So,
Spoiler alert.
Yep, we're gonna spoil it.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, as we left the theater, it seemed like pretty much everyone had the same reaction we did. There was just kind of a lot of... that was about it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like total... Such a huge contrast to Spider-Man, which kind of also played off of like... whatever, it was totally different. People left the theater from Spider-Man like, yeah, pumped up and excited.
Crying.
Crying, oh man.
Or so happy.
Yeah, happy tears, sad tears. There's a lot of emotion. This one, everyone, maybe it was just because it was like really late when we saw it, but I was super excited.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of anticipation, but I think my overall impression was that it was just kind of, it wasn't.
Yeah, if
great.
Last week people leave the theater like sad for what happens in the story, but hopeful for the future, expecting more, you know, wanting more Spider-Man tomorrow, which you're gonna talk a little bit later.
Yeah.
And this one is like, okay, they're gonna make more, okay, you know. Anyways,
yeah.
So. The movie starring Keanu Reeves back as Neo and Carrie, right?
Yeah.
Carrie and Moss as Trinity. I think that's the only people from the original cast, right?
Yeah, from the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they come back, called Matrix Resurrection. No, Jada Pinkett Smith.
Is she in the first one?
No, she's not in the first one,
Yeah.
but she's on the number 2 and number 3.
Yes.
She's in the originals.
Yes.
So, among the weird things, they made her a lesbian on this one, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Which
there's
isn't
so
that
much.
weird.
There's so much weird things on this one.
Yeah.
But it tells the story of. It picks up on the last movie finished. Neo is making a deal with the machines, and he delivers himself, sacrifices himself to the machines. And right before that, because they flew together to the city of the machines, Trinity dies. So it turns out that Neo died, which in the movie wasn't clear. The third movie is suspended, you know, that he's alive, but is enslaved by the machines.
Oh.
And Trinity didn't die, which she was
super dead.
Impaled by metal.
Like wash level.
Yeah.
Dead.
But the machines saved both. Put them back to the Matrix, updated the program, changed the programmer, and so the first act of the movie is about getting out of the Matrix.
And this was my favorite part of the movie. I thought this is where things were pretty interesting. We see Neo, well, he's back to being Thomas Anderson. He is a video game creator, and he created a trilogy of games called The Matrix. And we see, like, in his office, there's, like, little statuettes and things. It's obvious, like, a little statuette of, like, what we know as Trinity, but is actually a character from his game. He's doing all this coding and running simulations and things like that. We see him going to therapy where, you know, his therapist is talking to him about how he created this fantasy world but put himself into it, and so like he has these breakdowns where like he can't always tell what's real and what's not. And I thought that was a really interesting way to approach this whole Matrix thing, and to really like kind of question, you know, which is like one of the big themes of the Matrix, like what's real, what's not, like, anyway. So that I thought was very interesting, as well as his relationships. There's also this really important conversation he has with his boss, played by Jonathan Groff. He walks into the office, and he thinks it's going to be this, like, big budget thing, and his boss is like, actually, our bosses, Warner Brothers, want us to make a sequel to the Matrix trilogy. And I know you said you would never do it, but they really want one. And reboots are in, so we've got to do this. And I think there's a lot of great possibilities with it.
We could do even more.
Yes. Yes, we could do even more after this. Are you ever really done telling a story? So, in this case, the metaphor was not subtle. In fact, I don't think you can even call it a metaphor. He just pretty much laid out. It actually reminded me of, remember when Seth MacFarlane did the Family Guy Star Wars things? And do you remember the Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah, like they have or Peter says basically the same thing. Fox made us do this. We didn't want to do this. We don't have any ideas for this. But Fox is making us do this because they're making a ton of money from it. It reminded me very much of that situation and kind of set the tone for the rest of the film.
So the first act is about that. It's about getting out of the Matrix. So it's like basically a reboot, remake, rehash of the first movie. Oh, he's in the Matrix. Oh, we can't believe it. Oh, we need to get them out. So this bunch of humans, doing what humans do, trying to get people out of the Matrix. And there's a lot of self-reference. There's a lot of meta-linguistics on it. There's a lot of the whole philosophical thing. Oh, it's like it's been so long. Some people don't want to get out of the Matrix. It's not how it used to be. Anyways, I thought it was some of the self-reference was interesting, but it was so much. It was so many. There was a lot.
It was extremely meta.
There's like for me, it was kind of like a little bit of egocentric, to do self-reference of the movie you made,
Well, if it's a sequel to the movie you made.
Yeah, but I mean, the way they did the references was like, it's like the Matrix inside the Matrix. Oh, and the video game was like, I don't know.
That wasn't the way people talked about the video games. It's like, this was life-changing. It changed the landscape of video games for all time after that. And he's like the most famous video game designer in the world. Is that kind of what you're...
Yeah. And there was some others. Anyways, so they take a long time to do that. In the whole movie, everything in the movie takes a long time for a plot without surprises, for nothing different than the first one. Maybe something that happens to a lady, Trinity, that we're gonna get there. There's this romance, love story. Let me put it this way. There's a lot of interesting concepts. There's a lot of interesting ideas. But there's a lot. And there's all crammed all together. If they would take the time to do one of the ideas in the one movie and some of the other ideas in the other movie, and but there's so much going on that it's mind-blowing, but not as mind-blowing as the first Matrix was. Not because of the concept, but because of there's too much going on.
And despite so much going on, I personally felt like after the first, maybe half hour, they really started to drag. It's a 2.5 hour movie. So yeah, there was a lot happening, but they were talking about a lot, they were discussing a lot, there's lots of layers and metaphors, and normally that's something I really like, but I just felt like it dragged. And like he said, there wasn't anything terribly new. Although it's not really fair for me to say that because honestly, I fell asleep. And combination, I am super tired. We went to a late showing. We have kids and it's the holidays, but also it just after a really intriguing introduction, it just kind of and to the point where there's even a ton of flashback footage from the first one. Like, tons of it. And not just like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like terribly original. I don't know.
That's a part
or necessary. It didn't even really feel necessary.
Part of the egocentric part I was saying. It's it's like, oh, you have to see this, and they had the plot device to say, oh, this is part of your video game, but no, it was like a decision from the writer to put there, and self-referencing in a way that's like, oh, I know that, like in Spider-Man. Last week,
I feel like in Spider-Man was successful.
No.
Sorry.
Spider-Man last week, there was a moment that William Dafoe's character, Harry Osborn, was a Norman. I always mix those.
He's Norman.
Norman Osborn. He says, "I'm a bit of scientist myself."
Yes.
The movie theater goes like, yeah! Everybody got it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the reference.
And it was
you
a
don't
solid
have
reference.
you don't have to use a flashback for it.
Right.
Even the back, I don't know if you knew that, but the back joke in the new Spider-Man movie is actually a reference to something that happened behind the scenes in Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire, he quote, faked a back injury to get more money to come back for the movie. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that I did not know. I did not know that. But I feel like that was like a really successful reference. That line has become a meme, and it was just like something tiny, and it fit into, like, it made sense as part of that conversation. I feel like Spider-Man had really successful, like, plays on nostalgia, really successful callbacks to its predecessors. Whereas this one, it was just like, yes, we've seen this movie, but we're here to see a new movie.
Yeah. And it's like the Wachowskis, in this case one, because the other brother that now thinks is a sister, he decided not to come back. So
Lana was the only one who did this, and I haven't watched it, but apparently there's a big interview with them on Netflix, and I haven't seen that.
An interview on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Haven't seen that, so but anyway, Lana is the one who
either way,
responsible for this.
One or two of the brothers
now sisters.
That they are what's it called? One horse, one pony trick?
One trick pony?
One trick pony. Because so far, considering all the Matrixes, the first one was really good.
Yeah.
And then drop. This one, they try to go up, but they drop again because they don't go anywhere. They spend 2 hours and a half to get Neo and Trinity out of the Matrix. And now they give superpowers to Trinity too. They're a super couple. Which...
Yeah, so that was the other thing that got me. So I feel like the intro was very interesting. There's lots of cool, like, visual details. I was there for it. I was into it. And then it just kind of starts to drag, and there's, like, bits and pieces everywhere, and there's a lot happening, but it's taking forever. So the middle, And then towards the end, so then we get to our big action scene. This is when I really woke up again. But it wasn't that interesting. At one point, there's like 50, 80 people, I don't know, 100 people inside this little coffee shop. Bullets flying everywhere, but somehow hitting nobody.
That's right, nobody dies in this one.
Yeah, and so there's like some of the fun action from the Matrix trilogy. Like the running around walls and, bending time and dodging bullets and stuff. There is some of that. But there's just like an insane number of bullets that somehow hit nobody ever. And not because they're like, woo, Matrix dodging them. They just somehow don't hit it. I don't know. And it was too much. So there's all this happening, and then Keanu is like Neo has like finally tapped into his powers and like who he is. He's not Tom Sanderson, he's Neo. But really the only thing we see him do is like block bullets.
Yeah.
Run, block bullets. run,
They have some very big Marvel moments, you know. He has all this power, but when it's time for him to fly, he flops. It's a joke. They make a joke out of it. And there's some other jokes that are very, very common in, you know, MCU movies. But in this, which is not common for this franchise, for Matrix. But one other thing about the bad guys, they are bad. And by bad, I mean they're not good. Because Hugo Weaving, right, on the first Matrix, from the first second he shows up on the screen, he's scary.
He is. He's
one
like,
of the first,
chilling.
Yeah, one of the first things he does is he shuts Neo's Thomas Anderson's mouth. Mm-hmm. You know, he can speak. That's scary. That's crazy. So the bad guys are bad guys. If not that, the machines. And in this one, the bad guys are not bad guys. They're not. As a matter of fact, they recruit a bad guy. They recruit several bad guys, several of the machines to help. You know, even the machines help this movie. But the thing about the bad guys is, I lost my train of thought. What's the other thing about the bad guys?
I don't know where you're going with that.
They are like, they're either not scary or they kind of a joke.
Yeah. And it felt like we'd already beaten them before. It didn't feel like, I don't know. They weren't scary. Nothing against Jonathan Groff. I feel like at the beginning, Jonathan Groff, he did a very good job of like, the actors turned in great performances, but they weren't given what he
actually comes to help.
He does at one point, yeah. There's like an uneasy alliance, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And you know the
which like, really just like takes the teeth out of it.
And the whole Qui-Gon line, there's always a bigger fish. You know, they insinuate that the big bad guy on this one, it's under some bigger bad guys, which just trying to leave a hint to keep the story going, but it's like,
it's okay. They I feel like they finished it, and if they were going to take it somewhere else, this was not the direction to go, because they didn't take it somewhere else. There's this really disturbing scene where there's like this repeated theme through this movie of people jumping off of buildings. Like, Thomas Anderson tries to jump off a building at one point, like, to end it all. And then, but there's a scene where Neo and Trinity are trying to escape, and like everybody's been turned into a bot. And what the program starts doing is turning people into bots and using them as bombs. So like people are essentially just like jumping out of windows and crashing to their deaths on the ground, and it's horrifying, and not in an interesting way. It's just horrible imagery of like just because like you hear them and you see these bodies just like dropping everywhere. I feel like for me that was like too much, especially if you're gonna like suspend other realistic violence, like bullets flying everywhere but nobody getting shot and people running around saying like if that's not gonna be realistic, why do we have this like horribly graphic, like hundreds of people falling to their deaths on the road? For me, that was way too much. And then again, at the very end, Neo and Trinity jump off a building and they're not sure if they're gonna make it, and Keanu starts to fall. And of course, this time it's Trinity who has the powers. But anyway, there was just, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, because so much of the movie is a metaphor. Is this referencing something?
What?
Like, the trans community deals with a really high suicide rate. Is this referencing this?
Huh?
Or is it just like, I don't know.
What has to do
with people jumping to their deaths?
But I mean, what has to do with the trans community?
Well, like the Lily, I think, is the one who said that the first one is a whole metaphor about being trans.
The first one?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the first one was based on a comic book.
I don't know. This is what Lily Wachowski has said, that a lot of these movies is a metaphor about being trans. I don't know. For me, it was a little much. And not in a good way.
Yeah.
So, like, when the action finally did start to pick up again, it just wasn't... For me, it wasn't successful.
Yeah, well...
At all, but anyway.
It's flawed in many aspects. Like, the characters, you have characters, but they don't have time to shine. They're not properly written or edited. It's... we see Niobe, the character from the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
She's like 80 years old because between
60 years have passed.
Yes, between the third one and this, it's been 30 years, and so there's wars and people die in wars between the machines that they don't quite explain very well, and yeah. Anyways, it's as I said, it's one trick pony, as I say.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember, I think it was 1999 when they won the Oscar for special effects, and they diss George Lucas because they won against the Phantom Menace.
That's right.
And they diss Lucas because we did special effects to tell a story, right? A story comes first. And they diss Lucas because apparently, the story on Phantom Menace was not, according to them, was not that great. But they couldn't do more. They couldn't, move on.
Yeah.
This one is if you think on Revolution and Reloaded, the step forward, even if it's like a weak, shy step. This one is a step backwards. It's
a huge step backwards, yeah. That's right, because even if the other two in the trilogy weren't as good as the first one, at least the story is expanding. Excuse me, and like the fight for humanity is like you said, moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't know, just go see the first. Just watch the first one again.
Yeah, this is on HBO Max if you don't want to go to the theaters. And it's on IMAX if you want to go that bunch of, on the big screen.
I actually thought the recruiting machines thing was an interesting way to move the story forward. Or rather, not so much them recruiting machines, but the idea of some of the machines like evolving to the point where they say like, oh wait, maybe we shouldn't be enslaving humanity. Or, I don't know, I thought that was an interesting way to like take to the story another step. At least it would be something different. And they kind of...
But that's like, even that is poorly done because we know one of the machines they recruit is, the programs they recruit is Morpheus. Mm-hmm. The Morpheus, there's part of this what they call model. This model that Neo created on his video game. So, sorry.
You need one?
No. Okay. So he creates this model. So it's like unconsciously he created his hero into a program. So they got the program out. So that one, it has an explanation. But every other program they get out is like, how you convince a program that a program is wrong? It makes no sense.
Well, if they're sentient and, like AI becoming self-aware and, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the argument, the war between machines that they don't explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matrix, rated R, 2.5 hours. You can go see it on the IMAX or in theaters. Personally, I think you're better off just watching the first one again because that was really good, and I don't feel like there was anything like whoa.
Yeah.
In this one,
I don't know if they're gonna be able to make more because not only this one is not that great, but also the competition. There's COVID. There's Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah, so check it out. Theaters, HBO Max, or just watch the first one. All right. So that was a bit of a letdown, but we finished The Shrink Next Door this week. That was not a letdown. That was so...
It was good.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. I hate Paul Rudd now. He's good on it. He's really good. I mean, bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
It was pretty impressive how someone as, like, endearing and beloved as Paul Rudd could be so horrible. And yeah, it's just so despicable.
And I guess that's why it was a good casting. Because he is naturally, I mean, he seems to be naturally good. You know, you will never feel that that guy is screwing you, you know.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point. It made sense to have someone who's like so charming. Yeah.
Because even when they say, no, don't do that, you know, he's like, oh, it's like, he's saying that? Okay, I guess, you know. Yeah. No, it was good show. But it's not true story, so it was good to see a sort of a happy ending.
It was a very satisfying. It was a satisfying ending. But yeah, well written. I felt like right up until the end, it was like just so compelling, shocking. Anyway, it was very entertaining. I guess we shouldn't be super entertained by this family's tragedy, but it was very interesting. Amazing acting from everybody. I don't know. I highly recommend this series. I'm gonna start listening to the podcast, just because every episode was just so. The way things escalated, it was just so shocking. I just can't. I spent most of the time thinking like, no. But apparently it all happened. I don't know. We'll find out from the podcast. But either way, definitely check out Shrink Next Door.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about that one?
No. We also finished Hawkeye. The last episode of Hawkeye was out. And yeah, it was good. And it ended as good as the whole show. Teases, the Marvel shows always have like big teases. The tease from the previous episode, there was Kingpin. He shows up and he fights, and he actually, you know, is not only a picture, he's actually act and has importance on the plot. Or does he? We don't know, because he kind of he leaves the show with a bang. We don't know what happens after that.
Yeah. It's off screen, so there's some wiggle room there.
And the show's pretty small, but they find small connections with other shows. In this one, the Black Widow shows up. Yeah,
and we get a lot more of Yelena here in this last episode, and she's great. I am a big fan of her character, the way that Florence Pugh writes her.
Writes her?
I mean, acts. Oh my gosh. I'm so tired. Anyway, I thought she did a great job. I'm also a big fan of Kate Bishop, this character, and for me personally, this is my favorite of the Marvel shows that we've seen so far. Like WandaVision was interesting, but there were a lot of letdowns. Loki was just riddled with all of just everything, despite some really good stuff. It was also just like riddled with everything that bugs me about Marvel, so it's hard to be like, yeah.
We're talking about the masturbatory relationships. So
there's that one.
Relationships.
Yeah, however you want to describe that. And I don't know, like complicated connections and inconsistencies in plot.
Yeah.
And the whole
Falcon and the Winter Soldier felt long, and I think it felt long. I think they could do it in 2 episodes. They
could have. Maybe 3.
This one is like one piece. They don't make quite shows. They make like long movies.
Yeah.
And this one, it was like, you know, Christmas, funny, family, friends. So
it
was fun.
It was fun, but like they stayed focused. They stayed on pace. There were some interesting bad guys. and a nice relationship between Clint and Kate.
The costume design is cheap. The Hawkeye costume as the Black Widow was not movie quality.
Kate Bishop's costume was pretty good.
It was okay.
Though. And
I guess it's because they want her to shine, right? It's kind of like she's gonna take the lead next.
Yeah. We'll see. I thought this was the one that was the best. Like, if you're only gonna watch one of the Marvel shows, watch this one. That's the most fun.
And if you're gonna watch something on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian that everybody loves and hates is coming next.
That's right.
Boba Fett is coming soon. 23rd tomorrow.
I think so.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember. It's this week. Within the next few days, it's coming.
But
So Merry Christmas to us.
Tim Morrison said that we're gonna see a different Boba Fett, which is like, oh crap, they're gonna make him a good guy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or at least nuanced. I don't know. I don't mind villains having a tragic backstory, as long as we can all accept that, like...
We know his backstory.
Yeah, I know, and it's tragic. His dad was beheaded in front of him, and he was left alone. Like, that's not great.
His dad wasn't a great person.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
He hasn't done good things with it, but it's still a sad backstory. Anyways, okay, Spider-Man No Way Home is doing really well. Deservedly so, I think. The opening weekend, it grossed $253 million. Well on their way.
And that's only on the U.S. It made $500 million worldwide. And it's still going strong.
Yeah.
You know, different than some other Marvel movies. They kind of failed to do stuff like that, like Shang-Chi, like the Eternals.
Yeah.
They had a good opening weekend because Black Widow as well, because that's what Marvel.
That's when the Marvel fans go, yeah.
But like these drop on the second weekend, and yeah.
This one is going strong. I think the word of mouth is great. I suspect people are going to see it twice, and I suspect people are telling everybody to just go see it. Also, it's Christmas break.
Yeah.
And it's a good time to see movies. But either way, this is the best thing Marvel's done for a long time.
Yeah,
so,
and it's doing really well to the point that Sony and Marvel are already talking about more Spider-Man. There's petitions and rumors for Andrew Garfield to have their own Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 3. Like, the Spider-Man had 3 movies. You should have a third one.
Yeah, that would be fair.
What else? There's someone at Sony said that they will fight hard to have all 3 Spider-Mans in another movie. So, yeah. There's a lot more to come.
So as long as they maintain this quality of writing, I'm cool with it. Anyways. So rumors about Andrew Garfield coming back as another Spider-Man, or in another Spider-Man movie. Cool. As we talked about last week, one of the post-credit scenes in No Way Home was actually a trailer for Doctor Strange. Now that it's been a week, want to chat about it a little bit?
Yeah, it's the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
He goes to ask for help to Scarlet Witch. And a lot of crazy things that happen. You see Mordo back looking different. We see Christine. She's getting married, and I assume not to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got.
And the trailer even connect the movie to the animation. What if we see this? What's it called? Sorcerer Supreme? No, I can't remember.
I don't remember, but it basically like the dark Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Which was one of my favorite parts of the whole What If animation. Granted, the bar is kind of low, but this whole dark Doctor Strange thing and his role in this multiverse was very interesting. So having him come in, also seeing Benedict Cumberbatch, like, he does a good bad guy. So this looks good to me. I loved the first Doctor Strange movie. I'm excited about him getting a sequel. I'm excited about seeing Wanda Maximoff really come into being the Scarlet Witch and not just like, I've got red powers, but like really being as crazy powerful as she is in the books. I don't know, I think this movie has a lot of potential. Okay, last but not least, we've got the first teaser for The Witcher: Blood Origin, starring none other than Michelle Yeoh.
Blood orange.
Blood Origin.
But it's about oranges.
There might be
orange.
oranges. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tease it, but who knows?
Elves.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh's an elf. The other two main characters we see are elves. So
They run, jump, and fight. And
yes,
that's pretty much it.
basically Michelle Yeoh has a sword. I'm wondering if this is going back to the whole elf genocide thing, or if this is something from further in the past.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just more from the Witcherverse. Is anybody calling it the Witcherverse yet? Because they're kind
I never heard.
Okay.
You could start the trend.
Okay, let's start the trend. It's the
Hashtag
Witcherverse.
The Witcherverse.
Because this will be the third show. There's already books and computer games, right? It's a PC
No,
game.
that's for the
For consoles.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a video game.
games.
Anyway, games, books, multiple TV series, and a movie. They've got a verse now. Anyway, looks really good. It's just a bunch of people. I don't know, elves, swords,
Yeah.
medieval mayhem. I'm down for it. It looks good.
It has Henry Cavill, and if you didn't see Henry Cavill's Instagram page, go see him. He's Tigger.
What?
Yes. Yeah, I just did that. It's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways, I guess that's it, right, for this week.
Yeah, that's all we got. Oh,
Merry
except
Christmas. What's that
I was
one?
gonna say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
We see you next week with more pop culture news.
And in the meantime, live long and prosper.
May the force be with you.